Hello and welcome to another exciting weekend edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host, Theodore Henry. On today's agenda, we'll be exploring matters of the heart, a high education opportunity for public sector workers, plus things you can do to help preserve and maintain a healthy environment. Stick around for these and more interesting features right after this important message.
Know your numbers and control the keys to a healthier heart. Know the numbers for your blood pressure, cholesterol level, blood glucose level, and your weight and body mass index. Find out the risks they represent and what you need to do to stay healthy. Talk to your doctor and start making healthy lifestyle choices to prevent a heart attack or stroke.
It's Heart Month, and we here at the JIS wish to increase your awareness in maintaining good heart health. Watch as we examine the cardiovascular complications associated with diabetes.
Diabetes is a common illness. Most of us may be aware of its various complications, such as diabetic retinopathy and neuropathy, diabetic kidney disease, and so on. But when it comes to deaths caused from diabetes, cardiovascular complications account for the majority. Diabetes is recognized as one of 4 major factors for developing cardiovascular disease, the others being hypertension, obesity, and cigarette smoking.
About 68% of persons over the age of 65, and this is data now from the American Heart Association, 65% of persons over the age of 65 who have diabetes will die from heart disease, and about another 16% will die of stroke.
Before we take a look at how to manage or even prevent cardiovascular complications of diabetes, let us look at how persons come to develop the disease.
In a nutshell, what generally happens is that diabetic persons have a more rapid rate at which fat and cholesterol is deposited in the arterial system. So we all have that. It's considered part of the process of aging. Fat and cholesterol is being laid down in our arteries. However, diabetic persons tend to have that happen at a more rapid rate. Okay? And as a result of that, what tends to happen is that diabetic persons will progress to a point where they have compromised vessels. So in other words, the lumen, the diameter of the vessel, is narrowed, the flow of blood is limited.
And as the heart muscles become starved of blood, various acids accumulate and persons will tend to experience what is called angina, or a type of chest pain.
You may get complete blockage of the vessel, which may now result in what is called a heart attack.
Heart tissues are not meant to function in an environment where the blood sugar level is elevated. And so, another incidence of diabetic cardiovascular complication results where high blood sugar levels in persons who are diabetic becomes directly toxic to heart cells. This impairs the ability of blood vessels to open normally under conditions of stress, such as exercise, and also causes inflammation and impaired clotting of the blood.
So if they are chronically exposed to those levels of elevated blood sugars, then there are biochemical consequences. There's weakness of the heart muscle, and patients, many of them, go on to developing heart failure and so on.
The diagnosis of cardiovascular complications is more difficult in diabetics, where the symptoms appear unclear or may be different from the non-diabetic patient. Take, for example, a non-diabetic person with, say, coronary heart disease.
Generally, they will say, well, look, doc, I felt pressing pain to the center of my chest. It's moving down my left arm. It comes on with activity. It stops when I stop engaging in whatever activity. It feels like a weight or like a pressure, like a squeezing sensation, and it's associated with other things like shortness of breath and so on. Diabetics, however, have a particular problem because they have damage to the nerves, and therefore they may not actually experience chest pain at all. If they do, it may not be the typical angina which we would normally expect a patient to describe. Okay? So oftentimes diabetic patients who are having cardiovascular disease will say that, doc, I just feel a little funny sensation in my chest, a little discomfort. I just feel short of breath, or, I'm walking up the stairs, or I'm running after my grandkids and I find that I'm just out of breath.
The rest of the diagnostic process, however, is similar and may include an echocardiogram (ECG), blood works, or various stress tests accessible at public health facilities and at the Heart Foundation of Jamaica. Generally, diabetic patients will have elevated blood sugars in their urine, which, if identified, serves as a red flag and need for more specific testing. A urinalysis or urine dipstick test is generally done as part of school medicals, oftentimes as a screening test for diabetes. As with every illness, early detection and prevention is key to having good health.
It would be good every year for every person to be checked. If you're diabetic, you would have been told how often you need to check your blood sugar by your health professional. But if you're just doing checks and you're healthy otherwise, then at least once a year to check your cholesterol, your sugar, your blood pressure, do your ECG to see if there is any abnormality in the heart.
The treatment of cardiovascular disease in diabetic patients is more holistic, involving lifestyle changes to include diet, exercise, and maintaining a healthy weight.
In a nutshell, we advocate for, eating primarily fruits and vegetables, things like whole grains and nuts, limiting one's intake of fast foods with high fat content, high cholesterol, salt, and so on, and portion size management as well.
More unprocessed foods, less of the very refined high sugar foods. So there are those foods that are obviously very high in sugar. So the typical recommendation, if you look at a plate, half of the plate should be more plant-based foods, leafy vegetables, and some fruit.
In general, 150 minutes minimum per week of moderate exercise such as swimming, brisk walking, jogging, or cycling is recommended. Besides the lifestyle changes, clinical treatment through prescription drugs and surgical procedures is an important element in caring for persons with cardiovascular complications of diabetes.
We have medications to address symptoms. We have medications to prolong life. And that forms an important part of the approach. There are a variety of procedures which diabetic patients and other non-diabetic patients may qualify for, or it may be necessary to pursue. So we speak of things like stenting, for example, coronary artery bypass grafting, which is, of course, open heart surgery, major surgery. Diabetic patients we have a lower threshold for referring diabetics for that kind of procedure just because of the severity of their disease.
Medications developed primarily for use by diabetic patients have been shown to have significant cardiovascular benefits as they reduce the risk of death and complications related to cardiovascular disease in diabetic patients. But with most of them still under patent, access is quite costly. Your best treatment option is to adopt healthy lifestyle practices that make you less prone to developing diabetes or cardiovascular disease.
We're switching lanes now and looking at human capital development by way of a scholarship. This pathway to higher education is open to public sector workers. Take a look.
Marcus Garvey attempted to take a company public on the New York Stock Exchange in the 1930s. In fact, he did. He didn't limit himself in any way. And it is fitting to name the scholarship after him because in establishing the scholarship, it's very important you send a signal of intent with how you curate the scholarship, how you name it. And there was no choice in my mind that the appropriate name for the scholarship was the Marcus Garvey Public Sector Graduate Scholarship after our first national hero.
I think this is an extremely visionary program. My father believed in self-development and self-reliance, and you can only develop appropriately if you have the requisite knowledge and training and experience. So I'm very, very pleased that my father's name was chosen to be attached to this scholarship.
We introduced the scholarship program aimed at a target audience of public sector employees who demonstrated the kind of acumen to take on leadership roles, particularly in some thematic areas, policy development, economic management, climate change, law, public policy development generally.
The Marcus Garvey Public Sector Graduate Scholarship Program was launched in 2020. This year, 14 public sector workers will be pursuing postgraduate studies at leading universities both locally and internationally.
We're very impressed with their talent, their passion, their ambition, and their plans for Jamaica. My confidence in Jamaica's future, I must tell you, was strengthened and renewed as I recognize that we have some very bright, smart, sharp young people in this country.
The Marcus Garvey Public Sector Graduate Scholarship Program funds 100% of the tuition costs for recipients and is expected to continue up until 2025. To be eligible, you must be a Jamaican national or citizen, a public sector employee, whether permanently appointed, temporary, or on contract with at least 2 years continuous service. You must have a bachelor's degree from an accredited college or university and be under 45 years old at the time of application. The first 7 recipients of the 2022 Marcus Garvey Public Sector Graduate Scholarship Program are Anisha Lancaster, Astrid Batchelor, Shanique Graham, Gabriel MacLeod, Teresa McDaniel, Anastasia Rose, and Simone Murray.
I was very humbled that the Jamaican people would choose to invest in me, and I will do my extreme best in my course of study because I know that I must impact changes within the Ministry of National Security.
Now, the Marcus Garvey Public Sector Graduate Program is a significant initiative demonstrating the government's commitment to build the organizational capacity of the public service. At the core of the scholarship initiative is the recognition that signals the government of Jamaica's clear commitment to investing in human capital development and its intention to building a culture of continuous learning.
Marcus Garvey also said, always try to associate with people from whom you can learn something or the knowledge that you want in this world, and all you have to do is go and seek it.
So can you walk in my shoes? Will you listen to my cry?
If you believe, you will achieve.
I must reach my dream, born to fly.
Can you walk?
My shoes.
And will you listen
to my cries? One day I must reach my dream.
The remaining 7 of 14 recipients are Kenvoy Groves, Natalie Campbell Forbes, Elvis Bennett, Latoya Richards Franklin, Kensley Shea, Daniela Utah, and Mark Davis.
It will have a tremendous impact on my professional life. I can have greater impact on policy decision, and I'll be able to have more say in how public sector governance systems are created and public policy are administered. So I'm grateful for that opportunity.
We have a Jamaica whose influence is in the Americas, is in Europe, is in Africa and around the world. And I want them to carry that in their heart and let that resonate in your bosom every time you take up your book to study. You're remembering Marcus Garvey and what he did for this country and for your race. And you have gotten the opportunity to walk in that legacy.
We are indeed grateful for this opportunity. Let us accomplish what we will. Study hard, work diligently and creatively as we pledge the wisdom and courage of our minds and the strength and vigor of our bodies in the service of our fellow citizens, so that Jamaica may, under God, increase in beauty, fellowship, and prosperity, and play her part in advancing the welfare of the whole human race.
The impact of human actions and changing weather patterns on the world's wetlands have been getting global attention. Here in Jamaica, we have 4 internationally recognized wetland areas, the largest of which is the Black River Morass in St. Elizabeth. Come with us on a guided tour of this important ecosystem.
The Black River Morass is actually the largest wetland area in Jamaica. The upper morass was used for planting rice some years ago. That has ceased, and as a result, we have lost that area. But the lower morass is still here, and it provides not just a safari boat tour, but shrimping, fishing, and there's a lot of bird life still in the lower morass. It has been declared a wetland of international importance, a Ramsar site.
The Black River Morass is home to hundreds of crocodiles, vegetation, and other aquatic animals. Through guided tours offered along the river, you can glide upstream to learn more about the wetlands and all its inhabitants.
Welcome on board the Safari Diva and welcome to the Black River Safari. My name is Roger and I'll be your captain and also your tour guide. Our trip will take us approximately 4 kilometers upstream, during which I'll show you some birds, wetland vegetation, and some of our very friendly crocodiles. Presently, we're on the Black River, and this is Jamaica's longest navigable river. It is 44 miles long, about 70 kilometers. Well, surrounding us, we have over 21,000 acres of swamp, and this is the largest wetlands in the Caribbean. It is also home for over 65 different species of birds. 17 years ago, it was estimated there was a little bit over 100 crocodiles living within the area. And since then, their number have increased as they are on the endangered species list. They were once hunted for their skin to make a nice shoes or a good handbag. They are protected. No hunting of crocodiles in Jamaica. Well, they are part of our heritage. They're on our coat of arms with the crocodiles at the top, Indians at the side.
Unlike what we may believe in Jamaica, our crocodile here, Crocodilus acutus, is one of the most docile of the crocodilian species. The thing about it is that they help to cull the fish population, the animals, the fish that are diseased or the fish that are dead, they will eat them and so on. So that it's well worth having those crocodiles here within our wetland areas.
These birds you are looking at, they are called egret, commonly known as galling. The reason for the birds to nest in this location, behind us, this is our local fish market. So once those small boat comes from sea, they'll have some food to get. In the river, we can catch big fish like tarpon. Those can get up to 200 pounds. And snook, which is a very good eating fish, can get up to 50 pounds. And the African perch mullet, snapper, several different types. It's very good for fishing. So by the shallow edge of the river, it is also the main habitat for our freshwater shrimp. This little device I have here, this is called a shrimp trap. It is made from the bamboo plant. We'll use for bait roasted coconut, oranges, or even a piece of chicken. Now once the shrimp goes in, it's difficult for them to go out. The conical shape helps to keep them in. So we'll just hold it and twist it. It opens up so we can shake them out. It's actually very simple, but it is effective. The design came from West Africa over 200 years ago, and it is still used today. The vegetation or trees, they are called mangrove, which we have two types of mangroves tree, white and red. White mangrove, small leaves, and they are brighter in color. Red mangrove have much bigger leaves and also have those aerial root that goes into the water. It takes up all the minerals and nutrients for the tree. This section of the river we're entering, we call here Mangrove Avenue, as it forms a canopy similar to our Bamboo Avenue. These are all red mangrove trees, the ones that have the roots going into the water. In the early 1900s, the bark or skin of red mangrove was used for making a type of dye which we call tannin.
Did you know that the water in the Black River is actually clear? The river got its name due to the dark shade created by the presence of peat soil on the riverbed.
Peat soil, which is at the bed of the river, that is giving off the dark reflection. It also have its advantage and its disadvantage. The advantage, whenever time we have heavy rainfall or during hurricane, the soil, it acts as a sponge which absorbs the excess water. So we have no flooding activity within the area. However, when the water level gets too low, the peat soil, it gives off the methane gas, and with the help of sunlight it will ignite.
There are many different types of wetlands. In Jamaica, the most common wetlands are coastal mangroves, morasses, lakes, and ponds. For more information on the Black River Morass and all the other wetland areas in Jamaica, visit the National Environment and Planning Agency's website at www.nepa.gov.jm.
It's often said youth of a nation are the trustees of posterity. Being good environmental stewards is one of the ways our future leaders can play their part in protecting Jamaica's flora and fauna. The government is cognizant of this and has launched a national tree planting competition geared towards our youth. Get the details next.
The National School Tree Planting Competition is open to early childhood, primary, secondary, and students from tertiary institutions. The school or tertiary student that plants the most trees will win amazing cash prizes and awards. Let's find out some more so you can find out how to enter the competition.
This is an excellent initiative that acknowledges and recognizes the important role our schools have in making sure that our children are not just highly educated, but highly conscious of the role that they have within our society, within our country, and certainly within our world.
The National School Tree Planting Competition was launched in September 2022 by the Forestry Department. It aims to increase participation in the government's National Tree Planting Initiative, NTPI. The goal of the NTPI is to plant 3 million trees as part of measures to reduce the impact of climate change. Over 2 million trees have been planted by persons from all sectors since its launch in 2019. The National School Tree Planting Competition is providing fertile soil to grow that number and amplify the involvement of young people.
The National Tree Planting Competition is a good initiative because it allows for students to be environmentally educated and it allows them to be actively involved in mitigating the effects of climate change.
Students at all levels of the education sector can participate by sourcing and planting fruit and ornamental trees before February 23. Here at St. Andrew High School for Girls, the Environmental Club is leading the charge.
The St. Andrew High School for Girls entered the National Tree Planting Competition in order to ensure active participation in the tree planting process and also to showcase our talents here.
As the Environmental Club President, I often implore the ladies of the club to do anything and everything that they can do to be a good environmental protector. So planting trees, educating their peers and family members, or even just becoming an advocate for environmental stewardship.
To me, to be able to protect the environment means to be an environmental steward. And I believe with that responsibility, with that knowledge, you should be able to enjoy sharing that knowledge and spreading it with your peers because this is our home and we have nowhere else to go.
To enter the competition, visit the Forestry Department's website at forestry.gov.jm for an application form. Complete the application, select the applicable category, institution or student, then submit. Monetary prizes will be awarded in various categories. The main prize is $300,000 for the most trees planted per category. There are also sectional prizes for the most innovative school and most outstanding student and teacher.
I challenge our students to be ambitious in their targets and innovative in their approaches and activities.
When we visited, St. Andrew High School for Girls was confident the school would do just that.
Oh, definitely we will win. Our strategy is the fact that we have several different teams working at different stages of the planting exercise. We will definitely be bringing out and ensuring that accountability is done. We have a team who will be managing, measuring, watering, and so this will be consistent. All of this will be calculated over time and recorded as such.
Each tree planted must be logged in the 876 Trees app, which can be downloaded from the Google Play or Apple App Stores. This information will be used by the Forestry Department to track the number of trees planted.
It is our hope that this will help the agency to achieve or target one of the targets of the NTPI, which is to facilitate the production and planting of 1.3 million trees in suitable locations across the island.
The National School Tree Planting Competition is being supported by corporate sponsors, and the official award ceremony will be held on International Day of Forests, March 21, 2023. Schools and tertiary institutions, this is a great opportunity to help protect this beautiful island of Jamaica. Remember to sign up for the competition, and remember the deadline is February 28, 2023. Remember that for each tree you plant, you are saving your own lives.
And this is where we end today's journey inside Jamaica Magazine. Be sure to join us tomorrow for another show. Until then, there is more to watch by visiting our website, jis.gov.jm. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Theodore Henry. Until next time, take care and live good.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.